The two I'm most proud of, the one I'm most proud of is Match the Flame, because I think that one has the most, is the most historical, for the future generations. Historically, that's the most important. The second one is Matheson's screenplay for I Am Legend, which remains today unproduced. There's a long backstory. He wrote a script. He sold it to Hammer Films in England. The British and U.S. censors wanted these ridiculous changes. It was too much violence, and when you read the script and you see films today, you go, "What are they talking about?"
Yeah, let's go to Disney now these days.
Yeah, and also basically, the main character was Neville was the last person on Earth, and then there was a woman, involved, and everybody else had turned into a vampire, and the censors wanted someone to, because they were living together eventually. Well, the censors didn't like them living together in sin, so they wanted them to get married. Well, the question is, who's going to marry them?
And who's going to be the witness?
Right. I mean, all you've got are vampires and this man and this woman. So he said, "I'm not going to make any changes." Hammer Film said, "No, they're not going to make the changes." And then, sadly,
Unbelievable.
Matheson had given, the rights to Hamner, who then sold them to somebody else. And there were a number of versions of I Am Legend that were written, and they were all terrible. All of them were terrible. I mean, Matheson enjoyed some of them, but only not as some as an adaptation of his novel. He might enjoy them, as a movie. With the Will Smith one, for instance, they changed the ending. Right. Changing the, that's like, if Stephen King sent me a manuscript and said, "Do you want to publish this?" And I read it and I go, "Well, you might want to change the ending, and I've got a couple of other ideas, for you." It's not something I would ever do.
Well, especially with such a classic ending like that. I mean, that the ending is what the entire book is going towards the whole time. Like the ending is the story.
Right. So they changed the vampires into generic monsters.
Yeah, like ghouls or some silly thing.
Yeah, they changed the ending because what they were thinking of making a sequel, and at one point they were even thinking of making a prequel. So I had published the Matheson script in a signed limited edition, and then I wanted to publish it in paperback form. And I approached Matheson's agent, and she said, "Yes, you can do it," but she didn't want to upset Will Smith's people. So she said, "You got to include 2 other scripts in that book." I said, "All right, fine." We did that. And then a couple of years later, when there was no sequel, made or offered, no prequel, I approached the agent again, and she said, "Yes, you can, publish it again as a standalone, script." And we did that.
Everything.
We did that. Included the letters from the censors making their demands, and I'm proud of that, because hopefully somebody one day, some aspiring director, will be wandering in a used bookstore, see that, script, pick it up and say, I Am Legend should be done again, and it should be done the way Matheson envisioned it.